RTX 3050 is currently the cheapest GPU that you can purchase from Nvidia. Now, for those of you who are willing to go for a different brand or even willing to get your hands dirty and buy a used GPU instead, you can get a much better deal than this. But some people just prefer to buy a brand new RTX 3050 over a used RX 6650 XT, an RX 6700 or even an RTX 3060 Ti for the same price. In today's video, however, we are gonna be testing the RTX 3050, the 6GB one, not the actual half-decent 8GB model that is somewhat acceptable for what it is. And sure, you can just pay a little bit more and get an actual decent GPU instead, but some people simply don't have the necessary budget to do that, hence why they're still buying this $200 RTX 3050. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into the benchmarks and see how this GPU performs in games. Counter-Strike 2. We're gonna go with the lowest settings here at native 1080p resolution. And yes, we can run this game on the highest settings, but most people like to play it on low and have a faster response time instead. So we're gonna stick to low settings for now. As such, in this 10-minute deathmatch, we averaged around 270 FPS on this GPU. No stutters obviously. This game isn't too demanding on the GPU like most FPS games these days. So if you wanna buy it just to play FPS games and nothing else, I'd say that you'd be quite satisfied with the performance of this GPU. Forza Horizon 5. Medium settings at native 1080p resolution. Not a lot to say here really, other than the game just ran fine without an issue whatsoever. Same goes for Doom Eternal. We were able to have 100 plus FPS in both of these games with pretty amazing 1% and 0.1% lows. GTA 5 Enhanced also gave similar results. So did The Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption 2. But what about more demanding games, like Hogwarts Legacy? Well, we might not be able to play it above low or medium settings, not at 60 FPS at least, but we can play it at a solid 70 to 80 FPS on low settings at native 1080p resolution. I didn't see a single stutter throughout the whole game, and it was a flawless experience from start to finish. Cyberpunk. Now here, I was pretty sure that we would struggle to get a consistent 60 plus FPS at native 1080p resolution, but no, the game was actually pretty consistent in every possible way. I even saw the FPS go into hundreds at times. Mind you, we were running it on the lowest settings without any upscaling whatsoever. Now I wanted to try many other games on this CPU, especially the recent ones like Stalker 2, Doom the Dark Ages and so on, but I don't own any of those games yet. I wanna buy them just to showcase what the performance would be like, but for the time being, I'm not able to afford them. Thankfully though, some of you guys are just bunch of lovely people and have gifted me a game or two that I have actually used in my previous benchmarks, which I'm really thankful for. But usually, when it comes to testing modern games, I just wait for a large discount and buy them once they are somewhat affordable. Otherwise, there's no way that I can buy every single AAA game that comes out, especially when those games cost upwards of $60. But either way, the last game that we're gonna be testing today is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. This is the most modern and demanding game that I own at the moment, so I hope it can give you an idea about how this GPU would do in modern games. I'm gonna go with the lowest settings at native 1080p resolution, and by the looks of it, it seems that we can't even get a solid 50 FPS. I mean, it even drops down to mid-30s when there's a lot of things happening at the same time, which is sad because both the game and the GPU came out in the same year, in 2024. Let's see if enabling DLSS makes any difference. And it seems like it actually did, because before we were getting around 45 FPS, but now we're getting around 70. And sure, it does dip into 50s at times, But if I'm being completely honest, the game is perfectly playable like this. Neither the dips into 50s or the slight blur due to the upscaled resolution have bothered me at all throughout the whole game. Was it great? Not really, but it was playable. Was I expecting more? No, we are pretty much gaming on the cheapest GPU that is still in production today. As long as I can have a decent gaming experience at 1080p resolution on any settings, even if I have to enable DLSS, I'm pretty alright with it. Besides, I mentioned it before and I'll say it again. Not everyone can afford a 5090, or a 5070, or a 4060. Sometimes $200 is all that they have. And sure, they can always go for a used GPU, but you gotta understand that not everyone is feeling comfortable with buying used hardware, especially if it's a gift. Imagine if you buy someone a used GPU as a gift, and then that very GPU dies in a few months. Not the type of scenario that you wanna be in. Besides, it's whole another experience when you unbox a new GPU yourself. It just brings a whole different kind of happiness. You'll know if you have done that yourself. And before I wrap up this video, I wanna let you guys know that I'll be streaming bunch of games on Twitch again. I used to do it a lot in the past, but I got busy and I just stopped at some point. But now I have a bit of free time and I thought it would be a good idea to start streaming again. You'll be able to find my Twitch link in the description below, or you can simply type twitch.tv/mike21daisu, same as my YouTube, but on Twitch. And on that note, let's wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.